How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon Journey series. Today we're going to be covering episode 51, in which Galarian Farfetch, aka Come On, finally gets some development, which was definitely needed after it's been over 20 episodes since it's been captured, so that's pretty nice. So how was the episode? Well, before I get on to the review, if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Anyways, let's get on to the review, shall we? So at the start of this episode, we actually find out that Ash is now ranked 415 in the Pokemon World Championships. Really? He's advanced that much off-screen? Huh. More on that later, but anyways, Ash is training with his Pokemon at the beginning of this episode, and they're sparring with one another. Except for Galarian Farfetch, which Ash goes up to talk to him, and Galarian Farfetch immediately responds by whacking Ash and slamming him on the ground with his giant leak. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of deserve that one, Ash, because you haven't really used Galarian Farfetch recently, so, yeah, you kind of deserve that. Anyways, Go shows up, and he's like, hey, Ash, there's a Geodude outbreak at the rock tunnel. We should head over there. So Ash agrees, and they head over to the rock tunnel. So anyways, Ash and Go head out to the rock tunnel, and at first, they're having a bit of a hard time finding Geodude. It doesn't look like there's an outbreak going on at all. It doesn't look like you see a ton of Geodudes just everywhere. But anyways, Galarian Farfetch is training still. He's smashing a bunch of rocks with his leak, and he's concentrating. He ends up hitting a bunch of rocks, and a Geodude pops out, which Go immediately throws his Pokeball at and catches Pokemon Go style. But anyways, there was a trainer nearby named Genba, and he has a girder, and he's been watching Galarian Farfetch train, and I thought this was pretty funny. He actually runs up to Galarian Farfetch, and he seemingly starts petting it, and Galarian Farfetch doesn't appreciate that, so he goes to attack, and that's when Girder shows up with his beam, his metal beam, and protects his trainer from Galarian Farfetch's wrath. But yeah, anyways, it turns out that Genba over here is part of the World Pokemon Championships, and he challenges Ash to a battle, and they're both in the Super Class, so the battle commences. Now I have to say, I actually like this battle quite a lot. I like the whole dynamic between Galarian Farfetch and Girder here, where it's a large leak versus metal beam battle. It's almost like a sword battle, which fits with Galarian Farfetch, so that's pretty nice. Now, an interesting thing in this battle is that it looks like Galarian Farfetch has learned Furry Cutter and Focus Energy, which it uses Focus Energy a lot in this battle. In fact, it maximizes itself in the battle. But it's basically a back and forth battle. Galarian Farfetch is struggling, then it manages to get one on Girder over here, and then Girder comes back, and it's like a back and forth. Like, they keep slamming each other against the rocks, which is kind of brutal. And despite taking a ton of damage, Galarian Farfetch just keeps getting back up. There's one particular moment where it gets buried under a bunch of rocks, and it seems like it's down for the count, but it manages to get back up. And the two clash once again, and it basically becomes a battle of strength at this point, as they basically maximize each other's strength out. And it's the steel beam the metal beam versus the large leak again, and Galarian Farfetch manages to break through and whack Girder right on the head, breaking its metal beam in half, and winning the battle for Ash. And as a result, Ash moves up from 415 to 381 in the Pokemon World Championships. Nice. Now, following the battle, I thought there was a pretty nice moment in which Girder is over here. He's all upset that his metal beam is broken in two. So the Genba over here actually gives him his pitch axe, and which Girder actually seems to like this a lot. He's swinging it around, which I don't think you should do that, Girder. You might actually hit somebody with the pitch axe. So, might want to be careful with that. But anyways, I like how Genba over here notices that Galarian Farfetch still wants to battle, and notes to Ash that, yeah, he's a true warrior. So Galarian Farfetch goes out to do some more training. Now, the entire time that Ash was battling Genba, there was actually a trainer with a Gallade that was actually watching the entire time, and goes to confront Ash. But before that, Galarian Farfetch is training over here. Galarian Farfetch is being super stubborn. He's being super stubborn with Ash. He's just super focused on training and getting stronger, despite the fact that he just got hit a lot in this battle with Genba's Girder. He's worn out, but he wants to keep training. And that's when the trainer with the Gallade shows up. Now, this trainer's name is Rento, and he watched the entire battle between Galarian Farfetch and Girder. You know that Galarian Farfetch pretty much won due to sheer power. If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have won, because its skills were very inadequate. They were very rough and unrefined, and it didn't seem to be well aware of its surroundings, which is true. During the battle against Girder, Galarian Farfetch opened itself up against counterattacks several times, and almost lost the battle as a result. So Galarian Farfetch needs to iron out these issues. So Rento over here actually decides to challenge Galarian Farfetch to a battle with his Gallade, which Galarian Farfetch accepts. And yeah, it doesn't go very well for Galarian Farfetch, because it tries to go up against Gallade and it can't even get a single hit on Gallade. And all it takes is one hit from Gallade to take Galarian Farfetch down. Which makes sense considering the fact that Galarian Farfetch had battled Girder and took multiple hits before, so it makes sense that one hit would take it down. But, yep, Galarian Farfetch loses this battle, and hopefully learns its lesson here. Now the episode comes to an end with Ash and Go back at the Sakuragi lab, and Galarian Farfetch is doing some more training, and Ash and Pikachu decide to help out with its training, and they also have leaks as well to help out with this training. I don't know how that's gonna aid Galarian Farfetch in his training, but oh well, it's Ash, he'll figure out a way. So the episode comes to an end here. Now I gotta say, guys, I thought this was a pretty good episode overall, and a much needed episode for Galarian Farfetch, because yeah, Galarian Farfetch has not had a ton of screen time in Journeys so far, which has been pretty disappointing if you ask me. I know a lot of people online have been pretty disappointed so far for Galarian Farfetch, myself included. So it's nice to see that Galarian Farfetch finally got an episode to itself, which was very nice and well needed. So, great. But guys, I think the important thing here is that this episode is setting up some potential future developments for Galarian Farfetch. And there are 3 things I want to focus in on here. So, the first thing that I think this episode is setting up is pretty obvious. Galarian Farfetch has got a weakness, and it needs to overcome it. As we saw in this episode, it's focusing on sheer power, and as a result, it's leaving itself open for attack. So this is something that Galarian Farfetch is going to definitely need to work on. Not focus solely on brute strength, but work on, paying attention to its surroundings. So that's number 1. Number 2, Ash and Galarian Farfetch need to work as a pair. As we saw in this episode, Galarian Farfetch is very stubborn and wasn't really treating Ash with a lot of respect. In fact, he was beating him around. So this is definitely something that the two need to work on in the future. They need to learn to work together. They need to work as a pair in battle, because if they're not working as a pair and they're not in sync, they're not going to be very successful. So this is definitely something that Ash and Galarian Farfetch are going to need to work on. And it seems like this is something that could be a focus in the upcoming Wolfstrom episode. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see these two working together in the future. And 3, Galarian Farfetch has a rival now in Gallade, which I thought this was a fantastic decision, because this is going to be something that's going to drive Galarian Farfetch in the future to get stronger. And Ash said as much in this episode that he wants to face off against Rento again, which I think they're setting up Rento to be another rival for Ash in the Pokemon World Championships. And I think this guy must probably be in the Ultra class, because he seems very skilled and very knowledgeable in figuring out Galarian Farfetch's weaknesses. So I feel like this guy is going to be a rival in the near future. But not only that, but I feel like what they're going to be doing is very similar to how they handled Riolu, in which Riolu had a rival Pokemon in Grapploct, and B is Ash's rival in this series. So I feel like they're doing the same thing and setting it up with Rento being a rival of Ash's, and then his Gallade is going to be Galarian Farfetch's rival. So awesome. I'm all for that. So anyways, there were 2 issues I had with this episode. One minor and one more major. So we'll start with the minor issue. So as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of Go catching Pokemon Go style. And he did that in this episode with Geodude. Now I get the fact that they went to the rock tunnel to catch a Geodude, and he accomplished that, but I'm sorry guys, but I do not like this method of capture. It's poorly handled in my opinion. In last week's episode, Go caught a boulder. He did it by battling the boulder, defeated it, and then caught it, and then used it later in the episode. That is how I want Go to handle his captures going forward. What I don't want to see is him just catching Pokemon on the first try, and then the Pokemon disappears back to the Sakuragi labs. I don't like that. That needs to stop, because it's making these captures feel less memorable, and it's more of like, okay, that's just part of his goal. Moving on. I don't like it. They need to stop it. So, moving on to the major issue. The biggest problem this episode had is the fact that Ash moved up to 415 in the Pokemon World Championships off screen. Yes, we didn't know what his ranking was when he faced off against B, but he just made it back into the super class after getting knocked out in episode 36. So you're telling me that Ash, in the span of just 12 episodes since he faced off against B, and probably since episode 36, went all the way up to 415 in the Pokemon World Championships? That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that is just plain ridiculous. Again, this is another example of you show not tell. At least give us a montage. They gave us like a very small one, but it really wasn't good enough at the beginning of this episode. I'm sorry guys, but this is ridiculous. Like, we haven't had a Pokemon World Championships battle since that battle with B from this episode, so that's a 12 episode gap. And you're telling me that Ash is already up to 415 in that time, and off screen land he managed to get that far up. I'm sorry, but that's complete BS, and I'm not happy with that. Like, I would understand if maybe Ash faced off against maybe somebody that was high up in this super class, and that shot his rank up because of that. Because like if it was someone that was close to, you know, ultra class status, and Ash is like down maybe like 800 or 700, and then he shoots up to like 400 that way, I'd be a little bit more understanding. But to have him just start this episode be like, oh yeah, by the way, he's now at 415 in the Pokemon World Championships. I'm sorry, but that is ridiculous. It loses a lot of impact. And the fact that we haven't had a Pokemon World Championships battle in 12 episodes just stings even more. So yeah, I'm sorry guys. I'm very disappointed with this decision. Now, despite my disappointment with how the Pokemon World Championships is being handled right now, I still think that this episode was overall a great episode. In fact, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. So guys, in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll talk to you all later. You all stay safe out there and have a great day or night wherever you're at. I'll see you all later. Bye.